Now, the Minister of Finance, Gordon Gwana, was supposed to do a budget speech today, but unfortunately, due to circumstances which led into the entire country being furious, the budget speech has been postponed to somewhere around March. Now, the reason why so many of the South Africans were angry, it was simply because we read or we saw a document that highlighted that the Minister of Finance was going to increase VAT by 2%, which was going to take the value-added tax to 17%. Now, this is something that is not good at all, because South Africans are at a place where we cannot bear any much cost, because already interest rates in South Africa are already high, and this is bringing a huge impact into the households or the day-to-day consumers living here in South Africa, and therefore the 17%, it is not a good move for the government to increase VAT. I think what South Africans were expecting, or in this matter, what South Africa would expect, was to maybe cut instead of increase. But this apparently was stopped by the GNU did not agree. In fact, the DA said that they stood, or the reason why it was postponed is because they rejected. They said, no ways, we are not going to impose or increase VAT by 2%. I mean, the increase in value-added tax has got several effects onto consumers, both direct and indirect. The first thing that this will do, or this 2% will do, it will increase the products and services that we use on a day-to-day. I mean, everything that we buy at the shops, at Pick n Pay, at ShopRite, at Boxer, at Markham's, at all these retail shops, everything we buy is going to increase because of this VAT increase. The products that we use, services, your insurance, you are going to incur this VAT onto that, or that 2% VAT onto this, which is something that shows you that it goes beyond. I mean, it's going to have a huge impact into the consumers, and this is not the only thing. Now, number two, this is also going to reduce the purchasing power of you and me, because with increase in VAT, it means that of course we are going to incur a lot of cost, which will end up making us not able to afford certain things, which therefore, because of that, you will have to adjust your budget, because the day-to-day things that you used to spend, some of the things you might not afford because of the VAT increase, or the 2% VAT increase, which was supposed to be announced by the finance minister today. Number three, behavior changes. Obviously, when VAT increases, we know that even the products that we are going to buy, we are going to look for cheap products. We are not going to buy those premium products that we used to buy, because we want to try to cater or to make sure that we buy something that we can afford. Therefore, it will bring also a harm into the stores, into the retail stores. It's going to make these companies not to generate as much money, because people are going to run away from buying certain things, and this will make companies that we even invest in, companies that are lifting this economy, to not do that well, because people won't be affording the same things that they used to afford before the VAT increase. Now, number four, inflation. Now, VAT increase will also have an effect onto the production of the food that we are actually buying. This simply means that where this food that you are eating are being produced, if they are using maybe diesel motors to maybe produce this food, if because of this VAT increase, it means that they will be spending more on the production of this food or processing of this food, and therefore is going to make the food overall to be high, which this spikes inflation. High inflation is something that we all know that we struggle a lot in South Africa due to, of course, what we saw from the pandemic. A pandemic resulted into inflation, or high inflation, which is something that we don't want to get to that, because it is not a good environment at all, because high inflation leads to high interest rates, which, guys, we are still struggling with high interest rates, and therefore inflation going up, it won't be a very good thing at all. This will also, as a result, make people, those that are working, that have 9 to 5, to go to our bosses, to our managers, to say that we need a wage increase, because the cost of living is just too high. Food, it's expensive. Petrol is expensive, because of this value-added tax that they wanted to announce, or the Minister of Finance wanted to announce today. Now, number five, it also has an impact into savings and investments. I mean, with savings, you know that you can't save that much, simply because now some of the things you will have to spend more. You will have to readjust your budget and be able to cater for the 2% increase. For investments, or for the investors, those that are buying shares, you cannot, companies that we invest in, it will hurt them so bad, because the amount of money that they used to generate from selling these products, these services, unfortunately part of their revenues is going to be cut, simply because the demand of those products, the demand of those services is going to be cut, because people can't afford some of the services, some of the products, which this obviously it's not a good thing. All these are some of the things that will come with VAT increasing by that 2%. And don't look at it that it's just 2%, because if you are buying a house, a car, that is 1 million rands, right? It means that because of the 2%, you will have to spend an additional 20,000 on that car, additional 20,000 on that house, which simply means that if you are buying a 5 million rand house, there will be 100,000 that you will have to add to buying that house, simply because of this 2% VAT increase, which is something that is not good. I mean, guys, we were celebrating, saying that South Africa could find a breakthrough for the HIV and AIDS vaccine, which was so good, but today we are coming with sad stories. I mean, we are applauding the government to push. We are applauding the government to stand against the fight with the US. We were pushing the government, or encouraging the government, to go find some funding to push that HIV and AIDS vaccine project, so that we can start developing the vaccines here in South Africa. I mean, other countries like the US, China, they are trying to make sure that consumers can go out there and spend money by cutting down interest rates, by giving out a stimulus to consumers to help them spend more. But here in South Africa, this 2%, it's going to do the opposite of what we are seeing other countries, or the good effect that other countries are seeing, and that is the government stimulating the economy, or making sure that they make their consumers to be able to go out there and afford these things. This is not good. This is something that I think, to South Africans, it is not very good. 2%, we cannot afford to take a 2% VAT increase. In fact, we don't want a VAT increase. Rather, they should decrease, because already things are expensive, day-to-day services are expensive, and therefore increasing VAT, I don't know. It is a very, very bad move. But one thing that we saw is that other political parties, political leaders like Julius Malema, went out there and said, no, they should come and tell us to our face this 17%, because it is not a valid reason to say that because of the executive, some of the parties in the executive are not agreeing, therefore they are postponing this budget speech. He said there is no parties, there is no, the GNU is one thing, and therefore whatever they decide, they must come and present. Not to say that other political parties are not agreeing with the 2% increase. He said they are one, they should come and obviously present this increase of VAT to the people of South Africa, which is something that, it's chaos. It's chaos. I mean, let's wait, let's see. It is postponed to mid-March. Hopefully, they come and give us exactly what they are going to do, and rather not increase VAT at all, because I don't think South Africans are ready for this, or they will take this. Might even take it to the streets and start protesting, which is something that we don't want as a country. Otherwise, with all that, just thought I'd give you this quick updates. Tell me what you think. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and once you subscribe, don't forget to hit or click that notification bell, because every day to day on this channel I give you the latest updates, some of the biggest news, or some of the biggest things that are happening in our country SA. And I'll appreciate it if you can just like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. I'll see you on my next video. That's all from me, and God bless you all.